Hello everyone, welcome to the teaching time of my Inspiration Discourse. But before I begin, I request you all to please subscribe the channel, and also after listening to my explanation of my lesson, please put some comment on it. Dear children, today I will teach you the poem My Mother at 66 by Kamala Das. But before I begin, I request you all to please open your textbook in front of you, the poem, so that when I explain the poem, you can go through the poem and you will understand it better. Okay? So now let's begin. Now Kamala Das was born in 1934 in Malabar in Kerala. She used to write both in English and Malayalam under the pen name Madhavakutti. So now I will explain you the poem stanza wise, okay, line by line. But before I begin, I would like to say something, that this poem, when you go through the poem, it will seem that it has been written in one single sentence. And moreover, sentences seem very simple, but there are deep meaning in each and every sentence. So each and every sentence and word of this poem are very important. So let's start. Driving from my mother's home to coaching last Friday morning, I saw my mother beside me, doze, open-mouthed, her face ashen like that of a corpse, and realized with pain that she was as old as she looked. Now, in the beginning, what the poet says, that she had come to visit her parents, and now she was returning home, or returning to the airport, and she was driving the car and her mother was sitting beside her. Now while driving towards the airport, she suddenly looked at her mother who was sitting beside her in the passenger seat, and she realized that her mother was dozing. Dozing means was sleeping, open-mouthed. Maybe she had put her head on the headrest of the passenger seat and she was dozing, and her mouth was slightly open. And she realized that her mother's face looked ashen like that of a corpse. Means what? Her mother looked ash. Means what? Ash color. You know, color of the ash is grey. Her mother's face looked as grey as that of a corpse, means dead body. And she suddenly realized that her mother has really grown very old. And this thought, when she realized it, she was filled with pain. Why? Because maybe she thought that her mother may not live for a long time now. Now this is the first part of her mother's description, where she says that her mother looked ashen like that of a corpse, and she looked old, and this look on her mother's face filled the poet's mind with pain. Now let's go to the next part of the poem. But soon put that thought away and looked out at young trees sprinting, the merry children spilling out of their homes. Now as soon as she looked out of the window to get away from this pain, what she saw? She saw young trees sprinting and merry children spilling out of their homes. Young trees sprinting means running. Now, can trees run? No. But from the fast-moving car, it seemed as if the tree was running along with the car. Similarly, she saw young children coming out of their homes to play. Now, these are seem very simple but very important lines of the poem. Now, these two lines, first what happens? It is put in contrast to the atmosphere inside the car. Now what? Inside the car, her mother was as lifeless as that of a corpse. But outside, the trees seem to be running. This is in contrast. Then again, the sprinting trees, it is also shows the passage of time, fast running time. She feels that, my God, maybe the time is running so fast, her mother's end is coming very near. That also it signifies. And it also signifies, in contrast to her mother's inactivity, the tree outside are very active and running. Then what? Merry children spilling out of the home. Now see, children spilling, mother is young, old, the children are young. The mother is sitting very idly, the children are running about. Then the children outside are merry, but the poet inside the car is sad. Now there is another significance of these lines is what? Despite one's personal grief, life goes on. Means whatever happens to one life, it doesn't matter. Life never stops. Now you see, inside the car, the poet is thinking about her mother's death. But outside you see, the children are playing very happily. So now let's go to the next part of the poem. But after the airport security check, standing a few yards away, I looked again at her, wan pale as a late winter's moon, and felt that old familiar ache, my childhood fear. Now we see, now they reach the airport. The poet, she passed the airport security and her mother was standing outside. And when she turned to look at her mother, again suddenly she realized that her mother's face was very pale like that of late winter's moon. Now this is the second description of her mother, where she describes her face, compares her face to late winter's moon. Now why? Because you see, in late winter, you see the moon is normally covered with fog and the light is very pale. It is not a very bright light. So her mother's also now face is as pale as that of late winter. Now just in late winter, the moon's life also comes to an end. After that, the moon ends, it will no more come up in the sky. Similarly, maybe her mother's life is also coming to an end. So this is the second part of the poem's description of her mother, where she describes her mother's face, compares her mother's face to a late winter's moon. Okay? Now looking at her mother, she felt that old familiar fear of childhood. Now what is the old familiar ache of the childhood? You see, normally young children, they don't like to be away from their mother too long. If they go a little away, they come back and say, oh, is my mother sitting near me? Is she going? So they are always in a fear that their mother might leave them. Similarly, the poet is feeling that old childhood fear that her mother might be separated from her, but this time not temporarily, through death. And this again, she is filled with pain. And this is what is her old familiar childhood fear. Understand? Now let's go to the next line. But all I said was, see you soon, Amma. All I did was smile and smile and smile. Now in this line, what she says, despite feeling so much pain, she did not react. She did not say anything. She very politely only told her mother that see you soon, Amma. Now this see you soon, Amma, these lines are also very significant. First, it shows hope. The poet is hopeful. Maybe she will see her mother again. Secondly, she is hiding her real feeling from her mother. How she is feeling. She is putting up a brave face for her mother. Thirdly, again, she is escaping behind formality and practicality to hide her feelings from her mother. So behind formality and practicality, she is hiding her real feeling and real fear that she may not see her mother again. And then what she has? All she did was smile, smile and smile. Now this smile is also very significant. Here again, first smile, she is fearful. Second smile, she is putting up a brave face for her mother. And third smile, she is hopeful. Maybe she will see her mother again. Then again through this smile, she is hiding behind the formality and the practicality and hiding her feelings from her mother. Now I think you have understood the poem very well. Now, let me tell you some of the poetic devices that the poet used. The first poetic device she used is the simile, where first she compares her mother with ashen like that of a corpse. That is the first comparison. Second comparison is pale like that of late winter's moon. Then she used personification, where when she compares the trees, sprinting trees. Now trees can never run, but she personifies the trees and imagines as if the trees are running along with the car. And third is repetition. Smile, smile, and smile. So these are the repetitions. So I hope you understood the poem very well. So I once again request you to please subscribe to my channel, so that if I give you some further uploads, you can see it immediately. And also please leave some comment regarding how you have found, or if you want to suggest anything that ma'am you should do this, or that you want me to add anything else. Okay, thank you.